Alright, next up, you've seen this show already, but it's a little different this time. Ta-da! Deaf West Spring Awakening. Or I could just say Spring Awakening, the Deaf West version. Now this one, my parents are the only two who saw that original version. Only my brother and I saw this version. This was so good. I remember coming away from there being like, this is my new headcanon. This is always going to be what I imagine when I think about Spring Awakening. They did such an amazing job on this, integrating this whole thing into the storyline. Major props to Michael Arden for Spring Awakening here. And obviously the entire, everyone who worked on it in every way, all the cast, all of the crew. But because they took Spring Awakening and did not actually change any of the dialogue or lyrics, but still made it so clear that this was just as much a a storyline about the deaf community and struggle. I knew a little bit maybe about this because of Switched at Birth, the television show. I don't know if you know of that. One of the characters from that show actually, Daniel, is in this as Moritz. So he plays a kind of a troubled youth in well, no, that's a bad word because he's that in this too. He plays a guy who does something pretty shitty in Switched at Birth, but he plays Moritz in this. He was amazing. But they made it so clear that it's also about the deaf community struggles, all these little things, choreography wise and such, that they did to make it clear. Like when the teacher was yelling at them in the classroom and they were not allowed to sign, but they would be signing when the teacher's back was turned, and when he would turn away and they couldn't, no one could see. They were like, we can't see his mouth, we have no idea what he's saying. Or when he was making fun of Moritz for not being very proficient in speaking, even though he's completely deaf. I mean, it was very moving, and the way that they did it, just, you know, they had certain scenes depending on who people were talking to. They made it very clear that they weren't just doing Spring Awakening and also in sign language. That certain characters were deaf and how it affected everything. Just showing by who people would sign and talk with, who people would just sign with in silence, when people would maybe talk to each other, when certain people would talk and not sign at all. You know, different types of characters, different interactions with different people. Or like, you know, maybe two characters talking only in sign language and then a third person joins the conversation, so then maybe one of them starts speaking out loud because for the benefit of the third person or something. Or like I said, two hearing people would be talking to each other, and then when a deaf person joins the conversation, they would start signing to include them. The way the voices worked was amazing. The voices, the characters, they would interact with them. It was like part of their soul, and it was so moving. It was like, I think of when people talk about the daemons from his Dark Materials things, how this external representation of your soul, you can tell by what they're doing kind of what's going on with the person. And then like the soul giving them things, the soul pulling them away from things. As I saw the voice, you know, I've seen them called a bunch of different things by different people. I always remember this one interview with Alex Boniello, where he said that a little girl came up to him and said, "I know you. You're Moritz's angel." This production was so amazing. It was absolutely gorgeous, visually stunning, and unbelievable. And it's definitely the version that I'm always going to headcanon whenever I think about Spring Awakening. They had a whole little history in the Playbill, talking about how during this time period that Spring Awakening takes place, there were actually this whole thing sweeping the nation where they were cracking down on banning sign language and stuff, very much mandating speech and lip reading and whatnot. Is a great story. It came with this little insert in here that I put in there that had a little lessons on a couple signs, dance, you know, things like that. I don't know if I did this right. I tried to show it. Applause, that one I knew already. Getting down to the end here. Alright, oh, enough of this depressing stuff. Wow, Alright, next up is a show. This is also a show that only I saw out of my family. I went to see it with a friend. Actually, there's a story behind that. Well, I'll show you what it is first. Matilda! I loved Matilda, the movie. I loved it. I read the book too. I love the book, which is good because, you know, this is actually based on the book more than the movie. But I loved that movie. I watched it so many times. We had it on VCR, like taped on VCR. And I would watch that over and over and over again for years. And this was actually sort of an impulse decision seeing Matilda because my friend and I were going to see, we had tickets to see a different show that night. But we went to the city. We were like, let's make a whole day of it. We went to the city. We went to see the Ham for Ham, before the matinee of Hamilton, just to see just to try it. It was a what am I saying? That day they did a gag with William Shakespeare from Something Rotten, who's doing his little Lin-Manuel Miranda. He's plagiarizing me all over the place. It was fun. But after seeing Ham for Ham, we were like, and we did not win the lottery, we were like, okay, what now? Walk around the city, we turned the corner, and we saw the half-price ticket booth. And we were like, let's do that. I've never done that. We should do that more often. Why don't we do this? So we got in line, and we had all these shows to choose from. We were like, oh, should we see that one? Should we see that one? I want to see that one. And we ended up going with Matilda. So we just saw Matilda, like on a whim. We bought the tickets, we headed down to the theater, and we saw Matilda. It was so great. And also that was exciting for me because, as I said before, this was probably my only opportunity to see something like a show like Matilda that has a movie already. And my father would never want to go see a show that he's already seen a movie of, apparently. Even though the movie was not a musical, I don't know. But it was really great. Also, Heather Teppe, who I went to high school with, was in this as one of the older girls. As I said, I didn't know her as well as I did Jess, but it's still exciting to see, you know, hometown representation. Alright, and here's the big reveal. So the next playbill in our list, obviously, because I just mentioned that it was later that same day that my friend and I went to go see Hamilton! We saw Hamilton. It was so exciting. Oh my god. This was only like a month after the contracts were up. So half the cast was gone, unfortunately, but half the original cast was still there. So we saw it, and we saw Chris Jackson, Anthony Ramos, Jasmine Marie Jones, and Oak were all still there. There were new people for, you know, for Alexander Hamilton, Aaron Burr, Angelica Schuyler, Eliza Schuyler Hamilton, T. Jeffs / Lafayette were all new. They were all very good, obviously. Amazing. Everyone's amazing. Hamilton's amazing. I can't believe we saw it. We bought these tickets so far in advance, way back when it was first starting to get really big. And they were already super expensive at that time, but we got them anyway. We asked people at the time, I remember, if they wanted to come see it with us, like our parents and stuff, and they were like, whoa, that's too much money. That is way too much money. You're talking like $500. Oh my god. You know, of course, by the time rolled around for us to go see it, they were like, I should have gone with you. I should have gotten in on this. Like, it's so much more expensive now. Are you kidding me? I have this Playbill. I also bought a Yay Hamlet shirt, which I'm not wearing right now. I'm wearing an Elsie Fest shirt, but I'll probably wear it in the future. My friend bought a photo book. So pretty, so beautiful. It was a great day. We saw Matilda. We ate at Ellen's Stardust Diner. We saw Hamilton. Hamilton! This is like point of pride here. My family's gonna be jealous if I ever leave this house. I take this with me, but eventually they'll see it too. And you know, they did record it, so someday in like 70 years they're gonna release the recording and then we can see with full original cast and everyone. Alright, how can I follow that, right? We're getting pretty recent now. This one was just in April of this year, 2017. This is also something I saw with friends, so different friends. Waitress! We saw it with Sarah Bareilles as the main character in her own show. I actually did not see the movie of Waitress beforehand, so I did not know what the plotline was really going to be. But I had heard some songs when I go on like Google Play Music or something like that. The shuffle around songs that are related to Dear Evan Hansen, or songs that, you know. And I heard a couple songs from Waitress. I was like, these are really good songs. I want to see this. So we saw it. She was amazing. She brought the house down. I mean, oh my God. It was great. Afterwards, I was like, I want to make pies. That was an amazing show. Even though some of the songs were really great. Even though I was kind of like, dude, when a girl turns you down, do not stalk her to her workplace. What the fuck? That was something that happened with one of the side characters, not with the main character. Anyway, here we go. Very recent. May, Miss Saigon Revival. This was actually, this was another instance of my cousin, or my aunt and uncle rather, wanting to go, they were going to see this show. And they called us up and said, hey, we are going to see Miss Saigon on this day. Do you want to also go to see Miss Saigon on this day and spend time with us? So we ended up going. It was really good. Miss Saigon, when my dad first said, oh, my brother wants to see Miss Saigon, are you guys all in? My mom and my brother and I were all kind of like, because I don't know if my mom ever saw before, but my high school had put on a production of Miss Saigon. And I remember seeing it with my brother and with my parents and being kind of like, okay, all right. We were kind of like, I don't know. Like, if I had to choose a show that I really wanted to see right now, Miss Saigon would not be top of the list. But my dad was like, well, Miss Saigon is the option here. But we went to see it. Not that we were like, I mean, we were like, obviously you still like it. It's, you know. But I've got to say, I came out of there with a whole new appreciation that I had not had before. And my brother agreed with me. I think we both did not fully appreciate until we saw this show how much Miss Saigon is really like a refugee story. Because I feel like you always hear about, you know, there's the Sunlight Moonlight song and Lea Salonga. You hear about it in the context of Lea Salonga. You hear about it in the context of this whole love story or whatever. Like, it's not really a love story between those two characters like it was billed as. And I like that better. It was much more, it's a refugee story. And this is something also that I thought was interesting about the Tonys this year when this performed. They did a scene that really shows her desperation, her willingness to throw away her soul and everything for her son. This, like, dark path that we go down for the people that we love, for the mother's love, I mean. And that was so interesting to me because the first time that Miss Saigon was on the Tonys, I'm pretty sure instead they did, you know, they did a little bit of The Heat Is On in Saigon, you know, A Movie in My Mind, a little medley. They had The American Dream in there, which, I mean, don't get me wrong, those are all great songs. But it was like, it's very, you know, it's like sexy, it's like mission, it's this guy, the American Dream thing is like, it had all this glitter, showiness, common circumstance, American colors, like this guy like fucking a car. Whereas the revival showing was, you know, it's the scene when she shoots the would-be fiance, and when she runs away because she wants to protect her child. Like, things, it's the same show, but I guess the things that it shows, what they think audiences are interested in at different time periods, is very revealing of how trends of interests. Anyway, it was amazing. That helicopter. I know everyone probably says that about Miss Saigon. Holy shit, that helicopter. But also this artwork is just so pretty, I gotta say. Here we have the show that I just talked about in my first video 2 weeks ago. Bandstand. You can see this is the version that was signed by the cast. I talked about Bandstand at length already, so I won't do that again and take up all your time, but, you know, obviously when I leave I'll take this with me. We can replace this on this collection with a non-signed version that my family has. Got, you know, there's Alex Bender, who I talked about. The soundtrack, I mean, cast album. I'm still learning to say cast album instead of soundtrack. I've called it soundtrack all my life because in music stores, it was, cast albums were always in a section that was just labeled soundtracks. But the cast album hit, not last night because it's Sunday now, 2 nights ago. Alex Bender's still not on the cover, even though we got a advertisement in the mail for Bandstand, and it was like, remember I showed you that cover, and Joy Pirro was not on there anymore, but Alex was not either. I was like, so now they've just cut out the Nick Riddell character entirely. But it's him, Brandon J. Ellis, got dancers and swings on here. Here's Corey Cott on top of himself. Laura Osnes also signed on top of herself. Pretty exciting. I wonder if I'll keep stage dooring, you know. Like I said, this was the first time that I stage doored. I wonder if I'll have the courage to do it at a more popular show with throngs of people. Guess we'll find out. And that brings me to our final frame. This frame, you will notice, does not have a playbill in it. It's still shrink wrapped. I'll hang it on the wall. This frame is to represent Dear Evan Hansen, which we have tickets to go see in August. I was determined that we should see it, I wanted to see it before November when the contracts were up. It was exciting when we went to go see Bandstand and we saw that Dear Evan Hansen was like right across the street, and that Come From Away was like right next door. And then that really led to appreciation later on when I saw all the posts of like Mike Feist and Corey Cott like waving to each other and stuff. Newsies forever. So this frame will hold Dear Evan Hansen once we go see it. And then you can see I also have some blank spots over here for other future shows that we might see. Don't know what those will be yet. But there you have it. This is my playbill wall here. I'll get out of the way. God, it looks like a lot, doesn't it? But as you know now, if you've watched this whole video, that is from before my mother even met my father. So this seems like a lot, but they are spanning a very long period of time. It's not like we're going to see shows every 2 weeks or anything. Don't have enough money for that. Not that I wouldn't want to, but they cost a lot. But there you go. there is my Playbill display. Finally, I've achieved this ambition that I've had for many years. Here we go, it's done. We're probably going to have to keep doing work on it in the future. Obviously, once we fill this space, we're gonna have to figure out what we're gonna do if we go see more shows after that and find more spaces in the house. You know, probably that wall over there could, that far wall over there, we could move that mask and put some stuff over there. I don't know if we want to go any lower because we have chairs here in this spot and a table that are pretty low right now usually, but during the holiday season we rearrange all the furniture in the house and we move a couch over here to make room for extended table for all our family, and the couch is high, so you know. Also, like the light switch, you'll notice the light switches is like right there. We don't necessarily want to be hitting the light switch over there. We'll figure it out. We'll probably see in the future if I keep making videos that long, because it's probably going to be years from now that we're gonna have to do that again. That's all, folks. Till next time. Bye.